There is a great power that few ever master. It is not luck, it is not talent, it is not brilliance, it is consistency, the daily discipline to follow through, when you're tired, when you're uninspired, when the world distracts you, is what separates those who succeed from those who merely wish. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits, and habits, my friend, are built on consistency. A man may possess vision, but if he does not act on that vision every single day, the vision fades and he returns to a life of mediocrity. Consistency is not a mood, it is a commitment. You must force yourself to show up, not once, not sometimes, but always, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching, because that is the crucible where greatness is forged, in the silence of your own resolve. The world will offer you every excuse not to follow through. Your mind will whisper comfortable lies. Just rest today. You'll do it tomorrow. One day won't hurt. But that one day becomes 2, then 10, then a lifetime of unfinished dreams. Do not wait for motivation. Create discipline. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is permanent. And discipline comes when you make a decision to be consistent, no matter the cost. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about persistence. If you fall, rise. If you fail, learn. But whatever you do, do not quit. Keep showing up. Keep putting in the work. Keep taking the next step, no matter how small. Do you want success? Force yourself to be consistent. Do you want peace of mind? Force yourself to be consistent. Do you want to lead, to inspire, to grow, to conquer? Then force yourself to be consistent. The man who shows up every day, who chips away at his dream without excuse, is the man who carves his name into the history of time. Your breakthrough is not a moment. It is a process that demands repetition, discipline, and unshakable resolve. So today, declare this: I will no longer be ruled by feelings. I will not serve comfort. I will not yield to procrastination. I will act. I will follow through. I will force myself to be consistent until consistency becomes my nature. Because when you master consistency, you master everything. The world is filled with men and women who possess extraordinary talent. They speak well, they think fast, they shine brightly for a moment. But talent without consistency is like a spark without fuel. It dazzles briefly, then disappears. Success does not belong to the talented alone. It belongs to the man who applies himself daily, the one who builds step by step, stone by stone, with unwavering discipline and faith. You must never place your faith in emotion or inspiration alone, for these are as unpredictable as the wind. One day you may feel capable of moving mountains, and the next, you may not even feel like getting out of bed. Shall your destiny be determined by your feelings? Shall your future rest in the hands of your mood? No, that is the way of the weak. The strong man builds his life not upon how he feels, but upon what he decides. And what you must decide above all is to be consistent. The secret known to all great men is not hidden in bursts of genius, but in repetition. The farmer who harvests does so not because he had one good day in the field, but because he showed up every day, rain or shine, planting, watering, weeding, believing. The same law governs your dreams. You may not see immediate reward, the world may not applaud, but if you continue quietly, steadily, persistently, your reward is guaranteed. Let others rely on talent, let others wait for motivation. You must be different. You must build within yourself a fortress of habit, and the bricks of that fortress are laid by consistency. Do the work when you are tired. Do the work when you are uninspired. Do the work when no one is looking. That is when your character is formed. That is when your destiny takes shape. The man who is consistent will always outlast the man who is brilliant once in a while, because consistency compounds. Effort, repeated daily, grows stronger, like muscle, like skill, like mastery. And over time, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. You must declare to yourself, I will not wait for the perfect moment. I will act, and I will act again. I will not retreat. I will not stop. I will become consistent until I no longer need to force it, because it has become who I am. Let the winds of distraction blow. Let the world chase comfort and quick success. You will walk the narrow road, one step at a time. And one day you will stand at the summit, not because you leapt, but because you climbed every single day. Consistency is the master key. Use it, and you may unlock every door your heart dares to dream of. There is a dangerous illusion that has crept into the minds of men, the idea that success depends on inspiration, that we must wait until we feel like it, that we must be moved by some mysterious force before we take action. This idea has destroyed more dreams than failure itself. It is the silent killer of progress, and it must be cast out of your mind completely if you are ever to rise to greatness. Understand this truth now and never forget it. You are not ruled by how you feel, you are ruled by what you do. Inspiration is fleeting. It comes and goes like a breeze. One day it fills your sails, and the next it vanishes into thin air. If you wait for that breeze to return before you move forward, you will drift endlessly, accomplishing nothing, arriving nowhere. But if you discipline yourself to row day after day, hour after hour, regardless of whether the wind blows or not, you will reach the shore. That is the difference between the dreamer and the doer. One waits for the right feeling. The other creates the right conditions through sheer force of will. Discipline is the bridge between desire and reality. Everyone desires something: wealth, health, freedom, recognition, but those desires are worthless without discipline. The man who possesses discipline takes his dreams and transforms them into plans, and then transforms those plans into action. Not once, not occasionally, but continually. Think of the great minds of history. They were not always inspired. They were not always filled with fire, but they were always committed. They trained their minds to obey their purpose, not their emotions. They wrote when they didn't feel like writing. They worked when their bodies cried out for rest. They practiced when others played. That is discipline. That is how the impossible becomes possible, and discipline, like any muscle, must be trained. You cannot wake up one morning and expect it to be there in full force. No, you build it one decision at a time. Each time you rise early when you'd rather sleep. Each time you focus when you'd rather be distracted. Each time you finish what you start. You are forging discipline. You are creating within yourself a power far greater than motivation, because you are not dependent on chance. You have become a master of self. Do not be fooled by how the world celebrates those inspired moments. The standing ovation, the applause, the awards, they all glorify the result, but rarely acknowledge the unseen hours of repetition and struggle that made that moment possible. The painter who creates a masterpiece did not rely on inspiration alone. He spent years learning how to move the brush. The athlete who wins the gold did not rely on excitement alone. She trained relentlessly, even when no one cheered. That is discipline. That is what the world does not see, but what you must understand if you are ever to claim a victory of your own. There will be days when your mind says, skip it. Days when your heart says, it's too hard. Days when your body says, rest now. Those are the most important days of all, because those are the days when you either grow or shrink, rise or fall, advance or retreat, and what you choose in those moments will shape the man you become. Remember, discipline is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. If you fall short today, rise up tomorrow. If you miss the mark, adjust your aim, but never surrender the principle. Keep showing up. Keep putting in the work. Let your word to yourself become law. When you say, I will do it, then do it, no matter what. You are not a creature of impulse. You are not a slave to your moods. You are a builder of your own destiny, and the tool you must use is discipline. So rise now with a new understanding. Let others chase inspiration like fools chasing shadows. You will forge your future with deliberate daily effort. You will command your thoughts, your actions, your habits. You will build discipline, and discipline will build you. The man who conquers the world is the man who first conquers himself. And discipline is the sword with which that victory is won. There is no such thing as a small action. Every deed you perform, every decision you make, every step you take, no matter how insignificant it may seem, sets into motion a pattern. And that pattern, when repeated, becomes a habit. And once a habit is formed, it becomes the silent architect of your future. The truth is simple. You are not the result of what you do once. You are the result of what you do repeatedly. One day of hard work will not make you successful. One healthy meal will not make you fit. One moment of courage will not make you fearless. It is only when these actions are repeated daily, when they become second nature, that they begin to shape your identity, and with it, your destiny. Every great man began not with a grand leap, but with a single act, performed with intention, and then repeated with discipline. The man who lifts great weights first lifted a small one. The writer who pens a masterpiece first wrote a sentence. The leader who commands nations first learned to lead himself, and they did so through one powerful principle, daily action. Do not underestimate the power of today. Do not dismiss what seems small or ordinary. The actions you take today, whether productive or destructive, are not isolated. They are bricks in the foundation of your character. They are seeds that will grow into habits. And once those habits take root, they will guide your life more powerfully than any emotion, any motivation, or any outside force. You must be intentional about what you allow to take root, because once a habit is formed, it becomes effortless. The man who disciplines himself to rise early each day no longer wrestles with the decision. It has become automatic. The woman who trains herself to speak with courage no longer hesitates. Her strength has become a natural extension of who she is. This is the reward of habit. It frees the mind and empowers the will. But understand this clearly. Habits do not ask for your permission. If you do not create good habits deliberately, bad ones will form by default. Neglect becomes laziness, laziness becomes routine, and routine becomes identity. How many men have lived their lives in quiet frustration because they allowed poor habits to govern them? How many dreams have withered, not from lack of desire, but from lack of discipline in the small, daily things? So, what is the solution? Act, begin now today, and then act again tomorrow, and the next day, no matter how you feel, no matter what others say. Because each time you act in accordance with your goals, you are casting a vote for the man you wish to become. Start small if you must, but start with intention. Rise at the hour you declared. Do the task you promised yourself. Speak the truth when it is easier to stay silent. Study when your mind seeks distraction. Do the work when your body wants rest. Each of these moments is a choice, and each choice shapes the next. Before long, you will find that what once required great effort becomes effortless. You no longer need to think about it. The habit takes over, and that habit will take you to places talent never could. Look around at those who have succeeded, truly succeeded. You will find a common thread, not brilliance, not beauty, not chance. You will find discipline in daily action, the habit of doing what must be done, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. So decide right now what habits will build your future. What actions must you repeat until they become a part of your nature? Then begin, repeat, refine, persist. The road to greatness is not paved with dramatic moments. It is paved with consistent, quiet, disciplined days. Day after day, the man who understands this law and lives by it becomes unstoppable, and when you have built the right habits, your destiny is no longer a mystery. It is a mathematical certainty, because a man becomes what he repeatedly does. And you, through daily action, can become anything. If you seek to be consistent in your thoughts, your actions, and your pursuit of greatness, you must first build the strength of your mind, for it is not the body that fails first, it is the mind. The greatest enemy of consistency is not fatigue, nor lack of time, nor even failure. The greatest enemy is the voice within that says, "Not today." That voice is cunning. It will come to you in many forms. It will disguise itself as reason, as logic, as self-care. It will say, "You deserve a break," when in truth you haven't earned it. It will whisper, "You'll do it tomorrow," knowing full well that tomorrow is the favorite refuge of the undisciplined. It will plead for comfort and call it balance, but make no mistake, this voice is not your friend. It is the voice of weakness. It is the voice that has destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. And unless you learn to conquer that voice, unless you develop mental fortitude, your consistency will crumble the moment it is tested. Let this be known to you now: consistency is not a gift, it is a battle. A battle that must be fought and won every single day. When the alarm rings early and your body protests, your mind must be stronger. When doubt creeps in and you question your path, your mind must be clearer. When progress is slow and results are invisible, your mind must be unwavering. You cannot afford to let your emotions dictate your actions. Emotions fluctuate, they rise and fall like the tides, but your commitment must remain fixed like the sun. You must train your mind to obey the voice of your higher self, not the temporary desires of the flesh. This training begins with one simple truth: you are not your feelings, you are your decisions. And once you decide to be consistent, you must bind yourself to that decision as if it were law. Because in moments of weakness, you will not rise to the occasion. You will fall back on your preparation. And if your mind is not prepared, you will surrender. Mental fortitude is not built in times of comfort. It is forged in the fires of resistance, when you feel like quitting and do not, when you feel like hiding and instead take action, when you feel afraid and still move forward. That is when you grow strong. That is when consistency takes root in your soul, not as something you do, but as something you are. You will be tempted to look around and see others taking shortcuts, compromising, excusing themselves. Do not follow them. The path of consistency is not for the many, it is for the few. It is a lonely road, yes, but it leads to a destination the masses will never see. Let others be tossed by circumstances. You must become anchored in principle. What does this mean in practical terms? It means you show up every day. You do not negotiate with yourself. You do not skip your responsibilities because you're tired. You do not abandon your commitments because the results are delayed. You stay the course, and the longer you stay, the stronger you become. With each day of consistency, your mind becomes more disciplined, your will becomes more dominant, and your emotions lose their power to sway you. The man who has mastered mental fortitude does not ask, "How do I feel?" He asks, "What must I do?" And then he does it, without hesitation, without complaint, without excuse. This is how mountains are moved. Not by bursts of energy, but by the steady, relentless power of a determined mind, a mind that cannot be bribed by comfort, a mind that refuses to surrender to fatigue, a mind that knows the truth that every time you keep your word to yourself, you build self-respect. And self-respect, when multiplied over time, becomes self-mastery. You may not be able to control your circumstances, but you can control your effort. You can control your consistency, and that control begins with your mind. So strengthen it, sharpen it, guard it like treasure. For when the world is against you and everything seems uncertain, it is your mental fortitude that will keep you moving forward. And when others give up, you will still be standing, still working, still winning, because you did not rely on emotion. You relied on strength of mind. The average man overlooks the small things. He seeks the dramatic moment, the overnight success, the thunderclap of fate that will carry him to fortune. But those who have truly tasted success know this. It does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It is found in the mundane. It hides in the plain, the simple, the repetitive. It is buried in the parts of life that seem too ordinary to matter, and that is precisely why most never find it. The difference between the man who rises and the man who falls is not that one encountered magic while the other did not. No, it is that one had the discipline to repeat the unexciting, the routine, the unseen over and over again, while the other grew weary and stopped. You must understand and embrace this truth if you wish to rise above mediocrity. Success is a quiet accumulation of small efforts done daily with precision and purpose, even when no one is watching, and especially when it feels like nothing is changing. Look at nature. The seed does not burst into bloom the day it is planted. It is buried in darkness. Days pass, weeks pass, still nothing visible appears, but beneath the surface the root is anchoring itself. The structure is being formed, life is preparing, then one day a sprout breaks through, and still it takes time, more care, more sunlight, more rain, before it becomes something to behold. Your success is no different. The hours you spend in study while others sleep, the effort you give to master a task that seems beneath you, the patience you practice when results are delayed, these are the roots, these are the foundation. And if you quit when it still looks like nothing is happening, you will never witness the bloom. But the masses do not understand this law. They chase novelty, they discard routines, they run from boredom. They change course at the first sign of resistance, and so they build nothing. They start and stop, begin and abandon. They live by feeling instead of principle, and then they wonder why their lives remain average. Do not fall into this trap. You must train your mind to value repetition, to take pride in doing the small things well, to understand that greatness is not achieved in a single act, but in thousands of consistent actions that no one will ever applaud. The daily workout, the thoughtful planning, the honest conversations, the deep focus, the financial restraint, the morning routine, these are not glamorous, but they are the bricks that build your legacy. Do them with commitment, do them with reverence, for within them lies the power to shape your destiny, and when you feel that creeping doubt, when the whisper says, "This doesn't matter," that is your signal. That is your test. That is the moment to lean in even deeper, because the enemy of greatness is not failure, it is impatience. It is the desire for fast results, for instant gratification, for the grand reward without the quiet effort. But real success cannot be rushed. It is earned through time, through grit, through consistency, and most of all, through your ability to do the ordinary with extraordinary focus. There is honor in mastering the mundane. The soldier who shines his boots each day, the craftsman who sharpens his tools each morning, the thinker who returns to his books without complaint, these are the men who build lives that matter. Not because they waited for inspiration, but because they showed up faithfully to the work that needed to be done. And as the world grows increasingly distracted, addicted to speed and noise, you must become the exception. Slow down, focus, repeat, let others be pulled in every direction. You will move quietly, steadily, in a straight line. Soon enough, what once seemed mundane will become your advantage, because while others were bored, you were building. While others were distracted, you were mastering, and when the rewards finally come, and they will come, it will be obvious to all that your greatness was not sudden. It was forged in the fire of routine. And so, remember this always, the man who learns to find purpose in the mundane is the man who becomes unstoppable. There is a law of life so powerful, so exacting, that once it is understood, it separates the common man from the uncommon achiever. It is this: what you discipline yourself to do today will determine the freedom you enjoy tomorrow. The man who is willing to suffer the pain of discipline now spares himself the agony of regret later. You must decide who will pay the price, your present self or your future self. One of them must, one of them will. The undisciplined man seeks comfort now. He wants the pleasure before the price. He wants the fruit without the planting, the harvest without the labor. He tells himself he deserves to rest, to indulge, to delay, but what he truly earns is bondage. He is enslaved by his appetites, trapped in a life of limitations, dictated not by design but by default. His future holds no choice, because his present held no discipline, but the man of vision, the one who understands the nature of cause and effect, chooses a different road. He chooses to do what is uncomfortable now, so that he may live as he pleases later. He does not shrink from effort, he embraces it. He does not resent rules, he writes his own. He does not fear routine, he turns it into power. Discipline to him is not a punishment, it is a gift. It is the architect of his freedom. There is a tragic misconception in the world that freedom means doing what you want, when you want, however you want. That is not freedom, that is impulse, and a life governed by impulse is a life in chains. You are not free if your desires rule you. You are not free if every urge must be satisfied. You are not free if you cannot say no to yourself. Real freedom is born of strength. It is the power to choose your response, to control your time, to create your destiny, and only the disciplined man possesses this power. He does not wait for motivation to act. He acts regardless. He does not negotiate with himself each morning. His path is decided the night before. He does not chase the easiest option. He chases the right one. That is why he grows stronger, while others grow tired. That is why he builds wealth, while others build excuses. That is why he creates, while others consume, and the miracle of discipline is this: it multiplies. One act of discipline makes the next easier. One promise kept to yourself becomes the foundation for a dozen more. Soon, what once required effort becomes natural. What once felt heavy becomes light, and with each passing day, you reclaim more of your life from chaos. Think of a man who wakes early, trains his body, sharpens his mind, earns his living with integrity, saves his income, invests wisely, speaks with purpose, and treats others with respect. That man may appear ordinary, but he is living a life of extraordinary freedom. He is not bound by poor health, he is not tormented by financial fear, he is not enslaved by vices or regrets. Why? Because he paid the price of discipline every day, and now that price has repaid him 1,000-fold. This is the secret the masses ignore. They wish for freedom without responsibility, reward without work, liberty without law, but life does not operate on wishes. It responds only to cause and effect. You are causing something today. The question is, what? Each choice you make is a vote for freedom or a vote for bondage, a vote for the life you desire or the life you dread, and the ballot box is open every day, every hour, every minute. There are no days off, no holidays, no moments that do not matter. Discipline, practiced consistently, gives you the power to predict your future. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And it must be built one decision at a time. So decide today that you will no longer be ruled by mood, by convenience, or by fear. Decide that your life will not be the sum of your distractions, but the result of your direction. And understand that every difficult action you take now is buying you a freedom that others will never taste. The man who lives with discipline is not a prisoner. He is the only one truly free, and that freedom is worth everything.